Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 8, Episode 41, DJI Status Reality Check, October 14th, 2025. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Hope you guys join us for some great football talk at the conclusion of Rotor Talk Live. I'm really looking forward to it tonight. Got a full house. John Rocker's here, Gerald Nelson, Lou Drone Angels, Dr. Ted, Waypoint New England, DD Fellows, Warren Acaracho, let's see who else. Mark White, welcome. Mark Trini, welcome. Good to see you. Let's see who Art is here. Welcome, Art. Who else we got? Richard, welcome, Richard. Droney Oki is here. Let's see who else here. Fly Guy Merrill, Drone Views Media. All right. Got a good house here. You know what? I gotta get a new chair. Yeah, it's like at least once or twice a week, the pneumatic arm, it just sinks. And yeah, it's beyond repair. So, I mean, you got to replace. And I'm like, you know what? This was like a $99 chair anyway. So, yeah. All right. So maybe if I'm a good boy, Santa will bring me one for Christmas. Whatever. Okay. All right. Actually, do have a lot to talk about tonight. We do really have a lot to talk about tonight. Want to let you guys know, and I want to say this up the top of the hour. I'm getting a lot of inquiries as to where I bought the Mini 5 Pro and also the Mavic 4 Pro. And want to let you know, in the description of this video is listed where I bought the Mini 5 Pro and where I bought the Mavic 4 Pro, the eBay sellers that I have listed there. A word of caution and a word of warning. You need to vet them for yourselves. All right. I want to be 100% clear on that. I'm getting a lot of requests for this, which is good. That's a good thing. But I want to let everybody know, number one, if you requested, if you ping me during the middle of the day, chances are I'm not going to answer because I'm working. All right. I do that thing and it's over 50 hours a week. So it's a lot. I have a lot of time invested in there. So go to the description. At least the last 5 or so videos I've done has it in there. Okay. It's real clear. The first one listed is for the Mini 5 Pro. The second one listed is for the Mavic 4 Pro. But again, go ahead and vet them for yourselves. That's what I'm going to tell you. The Mini 5 Pro, I did put out my first official video, the unboxing and the flight video, and it's done real well. And thank you for the great compliments on that. I did put out my first accessory video for the Mini 5 Pro, the Lycos hard case, and I have 2 more cases that I reviewed from Start RC. That's coming out. And this past weekend, I filmed master shots, and I want to talk to you about something I found unique during that. Okay, we're gonna after Ron joins me here in a little bit. So, but yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. First thing is, let's see, I'm gonna bring this up. Okay, we actually do have quite a bit of stuff coming out here. CT Pirate, welcome, John. I had a blast, and I gotta say this. Up to the top of the hour here, really can't tell you what a great drone the Mini 5 Pro is. I mean, I'm seriously, if you can afford it, go out there and get it. That's bottom line. I mean, it was it was funny because the first video I filmed, the first actual flight, what happened was evidently the SD card the first file got corrupted. And then I could only recover half of that file, so I couldn't really use it. But on the landing for that first video, the wind was gusting like 15 to 20 miles an hour. That thing landed right in the middle of the H, okay? This was in 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, and it just was rock steady. I mean, you can heard the motors humming. I mean, but it landed like it should. I mean, that was muy bueno. Okay. All right. First thing I want to do is we haven't seen a lot from our friends Igor and Jasper Ellens out on Twitter, which, it happens, that kind of thing. But Igor actually put this out, and I wanted to share this with you because evidently the DJI Osmo Pocket is a real thing here. And this is all, of course, in Chinese. So good luck trying to translate that. But wanted to show you that to let you know that this is a real thing. It's going to come up Lord only knows when. Before the end of the year, who knows? Okay. Now, the other thing is I went out there and I looked for some information regarding the Osmo Action 6, because that's been rumored hot and heavy to come sometime this month. And I haven't really seen anything formal on it. There's nothing from Jasper on it. There's a DJI rumors out on Twitter. There's nothing out there on that. But, it's hot and heavy as far as the rumors are concerned. So I'm imagining we're probably going to see that before the end of the month. Lord only knows when. I have no idea here. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys to let you know about that. Okay. Let's see here. Sean from Air Photography. Sean is fantastic, and he does a lot of articles for Drone XL, and they're spot on. He does a really great job with that. So this first one here that I'm going to share, best 360 camera, GoPro Max 2 versus DJI Osmo 360 versus Insta360 X5. And I'll let you watch that video. And lens replacement and build quality, and we all know probably who gets the prize for that. Battery life and overheating performance, audio capabilities and microphone options, pricing and value comparisons, video quality, final verdict. If I had to choose one camera, it would be the DJI Osmo 360. Wow. Okay. That really kind of surprised me. Yeah. Okay. But definitely watch the video. Sean does a great job with that. I'm personally not in the market for a 360 camera. I have enough time as it is to take my footage from my flights and put videos together for you guys. And it's very painstaking and very time consuming, even with the apps that they have there. So if somebody shows me a better way of doing it, that's probably going to be status quo for me as far as that's concerned. So, Ron hasn't joined me yet, but I do want to share this article with you. Our very own Ron Brown, and give him a hand clap here. DJI Mavic 4 Pro firmware update. Real world test shows how camera switching actually works. Ron actually talked about this last week on the show. And kudos to Hey Kesselou for getting this on Drone XL. That's an absolutely fantastic. It was a great video that Ron put out. And it's really nice that DJI has added that feature on the Mavic 4 Pro to be able to do that. And it talks in depth on how it actually happens here. So if you haven't watched Ron's video, please do so. It is a great feature to be able to have on the Mavic 4 Pro. That's something I think is very enjoyable. So, but is it allowed that we're able to get Chinese-made product from other countries like South and not have problems from customs? Yeah, I can't answer that question. Okay. What I can tell you is that how is it allowed that we're able to get Chinese-made product from other countries like South Korea and not? Well, evidently that country doesn't have any we don't have an issue with that country, with South Korea. We don't have an issue like with Japan. Okay. That's how that happens. Okay. It has nothing to do with anything else. Okay. And the links that I put, the items that I had up there, and I want to be clear, they embedded in the listing, it stated there was no tariff or that the tariff would be absorbed by the seller. Okay. But you need to do your research and you need to do your due diligence on this. So that's why that happens. There's nothing between South Korea and the United States. There's nothing between Japan and the United States as far as that's concerned. So yes, we can do that. Okay. That's why that happens. Okay. All right. Move on here. Okay. One of the things, and there's quite a bit of talk out there, and we're gonna be bringing this up here. And I want to spend a few minutes before I start getting into some more stuff, is the whole thing about being able to buy on eBay and to do that, and kind of call this eBay 101 right here. One of the things that you want to do when you go out there, I have listed those sellers in the description, like I said, you need to go out there and vet them for yourselves. And what I mean by vet them is you need to look at their feedback and their most recent feedback on products that you are going to purchase from them. Okay. For example, a drone. Okay. Because a lot of these companies that are selling them, these are mom and pop places. These are not big companies out there. Okay. Over in South Korea or in Japan. All right. These are not, they're a storefront. And probably more than likely what happens is they will go out and buy these items and then sell them to you. Okay. So that's exactly probably what happens as far as that's concerned. So kind of want to give you an FYI on some of the mechanics of this. Now, you need to look at their most recent feedback and their most recent feedback for items that you are going to purchase. All right. That's what you do need to do as far as that's concerned. Now, as far as insurance and protection is concerned, because it's a gray market item, you can't get like DJI Care Refresh. That's not going to happen. So you have to look at looking at AllState protection plans that are available for sale on eBay. If it's in the listing, more often than not, and I chose on both instances to purchase that. And also, I'm going to be doubly covered as I just submitted everything to my State Farm agent, and they've submitted it to underwriting, and I should hear a little bit later this week on whether or not it's been approved. Probably should be, but you know, and I give them everything. And what I mean by everything is there's a sales invoice and also a picture of the UPC and barcode of the serial number of the drones. I sent them off to them. So kind of like a primer as to let you guys know as to what exact, gosh, this seat is driving me nuts. I'm sorry, guys. Just as a primer to let you guys know, this is kind of like what you need to do this. And the other thing that I want to talk about with this as well too, and I'm going to have a Mavic 4 Pro unboxing video, and we're going to talk at the end about some of this stuff and why I made my decision to go ahead and buy the Mavic 4 Pro and the Mini 5 Pro. But I also want to let you guys know as well too, is you need to get if you want to get some DJI accessories here, you need to get them as is. Here he is, Mr. Ron Brown.
How are you tonight, Bill?
Doing well. I'm looking forward to talking football with you tonight.
It's going to be a good Steelers nation this week. They had a tremendous victory against those championship Cleveland Browns.
Against those 1-4 Browns. Ooh, wow. Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. But hats off to you for your article that made Drone XL, by the way.
Thank you, Bill. I think we just talked about last week on the show about being able to switch between the lenses of the Mavic 4 Pro. So I want to thank Hay for, giving me the shouting out my article. And, I think it's maybe not exactly what everybody wanted. They wanted to not see the jump at all in their footage, but at least it's a compromise. At least the video stops and starts on its own, so you don't forget to start back up again when you're switching. So
exactly. That and that was well done, Ron. And I'm glad you got that together here. So one of the things that we saw recently here is, and I want to spend, this is what we're going to do here. I got to hang on a second. All right.
Hello, everybody out in the chat there. I see you all out there. Thanks for supporting us tonight.
We're going to talk about DJI status, and I'm going to approach this from several standpoints here. Okay. And one of the standpoints that I want to talk about first are the shell companies. All right. Because there's a number of drones that are appearing right now, and there's some articles out there that I wanted to kind of go over here with you. Okay. Now, the first one, it looks very similar to the SkyRover, and this is called SkyRover X1. All right. Emerges as latest DJI Mini 4 Pro clone on Amazon ahead of December ban. All right. And there's an article out there from, let's see, is Drone XL? And it looks carbon copy of the SkyRover.
And Jack over at Half Chrome has a video on this too.
I found they just use a SkyRover app. So, okay, we know that's going to happen. So we're going to kind of go through these a little bit on the fast side because I do want to spend some time talking about that. Okay. Now, SkyRover, and not to be outdone, they are coming out with another drone. All right. It's called the SkyRover S1.
Yes.
Mini drone surfaces on Amazon. DJI's unreleased budget hybrid drone with 40-minute flight time. All right. And here this is right here. And again, this is a DJI shell company. They produce a SkyRover X1 budget hybrid with extended capabilities, half-inch Sony CMOS sensor, 4K at 60 frames per second, 12 megapixel sensor, sits on a 3-axis gimbal. Okay. Pricing and release timing unknown. Okay. So we don't really know what's going on, and not to be outdone here. Okay. Okay. Those are for the clones. And one of the things that I also want to talk about too is there looks like there are a lot of sales going on. All right. And DJI is getting, or Amazon, so to speak, is selling off inventory here. Now, the first one is DJI Mini 3 and all variants of it. Amazon slashes 20% off all 3 models. So they're clearing out what's out there right now. Mini 3 standard bundles now $335, save $84. Mini 3 with RC is $439. And let's see here, Mini 3 Fly More combo is now $575. So that's a pretty good deal.
That's surprising, Bill. This is a 3-year-old drone, a 2-year-old drone or more. So not exactly that surprising.
Exactly here. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and this is probably what we're going to spend some time on here. Now, I know our friend Russ at 51 Drones, he put out a video recently. And basically, he's telling you everything's going to be okay because of these DJI shell companies. And I'm sorry, I could not disagree more strongly with Russ. And this is why. And I'm going to share this article right now. Okay. One of the things that, we have 3 different things that are actually going on right now as far as DJI drones are concerned. We know there's a defense appropriation bill that's been going on. All right. And that they need to be on, they need to have a review done by December 23rd. If not, they will be moved onto the FCC's covered entities list. All right. And then we have the Department of Commerce.
Which means no more DJI drones will get FCC approval.
Exactly. Then we have the Department of Commerce with their Section 232. And now we also have, and this just recently came out, FCC vote could kill DJI shell company strategy before December ban timeline. Okay. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr announced this week the agency will vote October 28th on regulations closing 2 critical loopholes that currently allow covered list components to continue operating in the U.S. market. The timing couldn't be worse for DJI's rapidly expanding network of shell companies. Okay. The FCC's covered list already includes Huawei, ZTE, Hikvision, China Mobile, and China Telecom. Current regulations prevent these companies from receiving new equipment authorizations, but 2 loopholes remain open. First, existing rules don't prevent covered list equipment parts from being used inside otherwise authorized devices. Second, previously authorized equipment can continue being imported and sold indefinitely, even after a company joins the covered list. The proposed order would close both gaps. Carr stated the agency would prohibit authorization of devices containing component parts that are on the covered list and authorize the agency to prohibit sale of previously authorized covered list equipment in specific cases. All right. DJI shell companies use covered list components. All right. And that's what they're talking about here. Spatial hover is another one of these. December 23rd deadline looms for DJI security review, and we just talked about that. None have confirmed they're conducting one. DJI automatically joins the FCC covered list. The clock shows 73 days until the deadline. FCC already removing millions of Chinese electronics. The agency isn't bluffing about enforcement. Major U.S. retailers have removed millions of listings for prohibited Chinese electronics following FCC oversight. The removed items include security cameras and phones from companies like Huawei and ZTE. Carr added the companies are putting new processes in place to prevent future prohibited items. Drone XL's take, the FCC vote on October 28th presents a strategic checkmate against DJI shell company workaround. We've been tracking these alternative brand names for months, watching SkyAny, SkyRover, and others flood Amazon's rebranded DJI hardware. Component rules, parts rule exposes the fundamental flaw in that strategy. You can change the name of the box, but you can't hide the DJI technology inside. What makes this particularly significant is the timing DJI faces automatic covered list addition in 73 days if no security review occurs. The component parts prohibition could effectively kill the shell company strategy 16 days before the deadline even hits. Any device using DJI controllers, communication systems, or other identifiable components would presumably face authorization denial or revocation. Retroactive enforcement power is equally critical. Unlike the Huawei precedent, where existing authorizations remain valid, the FCC is explicitly claiming authority to revoke previously approved equipment in specific cases. Shell companies betting on grandfathered authorizations may find those certifications pulled after DJI joins the covered list in December, okay? For drone operators, this accelerates decision-making timelines. If you're planning DJI purchases for 2025 operations, the October 28th vote matters as much as December 23rd deadline. Shell company drones may not provide the regulatory refuge their manufacturers hope for. Okay, and I want to stop right here because a lot of people, you know, and I got to say this, Ron. All right, now I respect Russ. Russ is a great drone reviewer, and he does a great job on his channel. But you know, one of the things that I wanted to make sure of with this is, you know, don't give out hope where there really isn't hope in this instance, okay? Because I'll tell you what, with everything, and I can tell you this, being an experienced ham radio operator, all right, the FCC does not joke around, okay? Because if somebody's doing and I'll just give you a quick example here, and some of the guys who are in the chat know this, who are ham radio guys, okay, they will come after people for, you know, any one of a number of violations. You know, if you're using a wrong ID, if you're on a wrong band, I mean, they will come to your house. All right. They don't mess around. They're very serious about this. The FCC has some clout and has some power. All right. And if Brendan Clark says he's going to do it, he's going to do this. All right. So this isn't a you know, wielding your sword kind of threat. This is a real thing. It's going to happen. All right. So what everybody needs to do, and this is one of the things I'm going to do in an upcoming video, and I'm going to talk about this. My whole thing is this, okay? We're in hurricane season right now in Florida, all right? I'm going to do an analogy for you guys, so hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from, all right? In hurricane season, you're on alert. You know, more than likely, we're going to get hit with maybe 1, 2, or more storms coming our way. And whether or not they turn into hurricane, we don't know. What you do ahead of time, though, is critical. All right. For example, you know, you make sure you have enough water, canned goods on hand. You know, of course, we have a built-in generator. We also have storm shutters to help us out. We live in a concrete block house, which, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, they really didn't exist in Florida. So, you know, and the whole strategy is anymore, it's not, you know, to leave your place, it's stay in place. Unless you're going to be hit with flash flooding where we wouldn't, okay? You just stay in place. You shelter in place until the storm is over, okay? And then you assess and you make preparations afterwards. But the big key here is preparation ahead of time, all right? You get supplies. You're ready for this. You know, if you have a portable generator, you get gasoline. You're ready for that. You're ready to go, you know, at a moment's notice after the storm is over here, okay? It's the same thing in this instance, okay? We're preparing for a storm. It's probably going to hit December. Well, it's going to hit December 23rd, one way or another. All right. And whether or not we like it, you know, something is going to happen then. And it probably is not going to. And I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I don't have almost zero hope. I'm about 99.99% sure this is going to happen. All right. And this covered entities list.
Bill, I'm going to stop you just for a second. I need your role, but you say it's a vote coming up on the 28th. Who is actually voting? That
is the FCC, the board, FCC board.
The board. Okay, so Brendan has taken this in front of the board, but they have until then to decide their vote. Is that
right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
There's a commission that he's the chairman of the FCC.
Right.
So
right. So
that's what happens.
Do you need all the votes to say yes, or is it a majority rules kind of vote? Or
well, it's really kind of majority rules. I mean, you know, if the vote is 6-5 in favor, then it passes, kind of thing. So, but more often than not, because of what he has said, it's probably going to be a unanimous vote in this instance.
Another fly in the ointment, though, with the government shutdown and people getting laid off, not getting paid or whatever, could that affect some of the efficiency over there if they don't have enforcement takes? I know you just the chairman can just say whatever he wants. He's still getting, but the people that have to do the enforcing, they may be the people that aren't getting paid or being laid off. Do you think that could affect this at all in the short run?
It could, and I think it would be more. Now they could probably make the ruling, but enforcing this is going to be another deal here. And they've already put things in place. Right. They've already gone out there. Companies have gone out there and gotten rid of a lot of these products out there. So, my whole thing is this. All right. If you want to get the latest in technology, and this is just something I've come to the realization of doing. This is why I got a Mini 5 Pro. This is why I got a Mavic 4 Pro. I'll probably get the Osmo Action 6. The Pocket 4 does not interest me, but I think they're going to be coming out with that as well. The Neo 2, I may consider something like that. And the other thing is purchase DJI accessories like batteries, especially. Okay, props not so much, but batteries, yes. So you want to be prepared for the long haul, and what I mean by the long haul, maybe 3 or 4 years. Okay, and you're going to have to really work your batteries very smartly. You're going to have to rotate them in and out. And like I said, get enough batteries for this. In fact, so much so, am I preparing for the storm? I'm actually thinking about, I have almost $200 in DJI credit, store credit. And I'm actually thinking about getting an Air 3S with a basic controller and have that as a backup for my other Air 3, okay? Air 3S.
Right.
That's how much I'm thinking ahead on this, because once December 23rd hits, guys, okay, reality, it's going to be a reality check, all right? And, there are people out there that are telling you that it's going to be okay. And, and like Russ, and I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with him. He's not right, okay? For whatever reason he did that video, these shell companies are going to crack like an eggshell. No pun intended here. But, I mean, the FCC sees right through that. Those components are coming from DJI, and it will be banned just as well as a DJI drone will be banned. Okay. So there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Let's help people understand a little bit here. Now, why you can't get a DJI drone right now in the U.S. is because the customs people stop the drone from getting in. They see a box labeled DJI, they see return address labeled DJI, they stop the package, but they're not stopping any SkyRover packages or Cohita packages or anything else like that. So right now we're still good because, again, those shell companies, they don't get flagged by the border customs.
Right. Now, this is because
that'll all change after the 23rd.
Exactly. Now, one of the things with this is, and I want to say this as well too, is, this is because of the Uyghur labor going on over in China. This is why the packages have been stopped at customs and have been sent back, is because that's what U.S. Customs and Border Patrol has been told to do. So that's why it's
by Congress. Congress came up with this whole Uyghur thing that's never been proven.
And I also want to say this too. Okay, I think I can probably speak for Ron, myself, and some of the other drone reviewers that I know. Okay, we're shooting this to you straight. All right, we're not going out there. Now, I have not been fear mongering about this. Okay, our message has been consistent throughout this whole process, this whole ordeal, if you want to call it that. All right, and I'm not sensationalizing things to get clicks out there. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. All right, we've been on here doing this for 7 years. Ron's been doing it with me. Ron's been on doing Drone Nation for a long time as well with Marcus and DeMarco. Johnny's been doing it. Ray's been doing it. Other guys have been doing this as well. And they shoot you straight. They tell it to you like it is. Okay. And this is what we're doing right here. Okay. So I want you guys to be fully prepared for this. All right. I don't want you to say, all of a sudden, December 22nd, but Bill, you didn't tell me. No, Bill's told you. Okay. Ron's told you. Drone Nation has told you. Other guys have gone out there and have told you as well. Okay. we're not clickbait. Okay. We want you to have a 100% reality check right here. Okay. That yes, I mean, things are going to happen here. Now,
Bill, explain a little deeper for the people out there. We've all ordering directly from DJI has already been a thing that hasn't happened most of the year, of course, even going back to last year. But how do you think, Brandon Carr and whoever, any agency, how are they eventually going to shut down a package coming from South Korea that looks like your grandmother's cookies coming through?
They can't. See, that there's no way they can do that.
Now, of course, that when you get that drone out of the box, that drone has to be an FCC approved drone. So that's something that, like we already have now. Like, well, I'm just taking a guess. The next new drone coming out next year probably the Air 4. I'm just guessing. It doesn't matter. Don't argue with me. You can say any drone you want. But when the Air 4 comes out next year, that will not have FCC approval if everything goes according to what we think on the 23rd of December. So that means even if you order that drone from South Korea or Japan or so on, you get that drone in the box. It shouldn't have a way to broadcast on. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. And I'm telling Maxwell multi-rotors, you might be preparing for a storm you can't beat. There's a bill that would rescind previous FCC approval for drones. So depending on what happens, both new and old drones could become illegal. Okay. And I'm going to answer this question. That's not going to be able to happen. Okay. And the reason that can't happen, as far as like our existing drones, like the Air 3S, the Mavic 3 Pro, the Mavic 4 Pro, anything that's currently out right now. Okay. It would involve the bands that these are on, okay, in terms of the communication protocol.
They would have to shut down a lot more of the drones.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that, okay. So
and the person made this bill doesn't understand that, so it was a bill written poorly.
Yeah. It as far what the intent of this is not against existing drones, okay. The intent of this is not to allow future drones to come into the United States.
Yeah,
all right.
Shutting down a older drone is not going to help the American drone companies sell more drones because they're not competing against old drones. They're competing against current drones as far as trying to make sales at some future date when they actually are available.
Okay, Eye in the Sky drones. I don't know if you stopped. We're here at the beginning of the show, and the description of the last 5 videos I put out are to the 2 eBay sellers that I have listed out here. And I'm trying to be real nice and gentle when I say this. Okay. I'm getting pinged multiple times a day, asking me for the sellers that I used on eBay. Okay. Like I said, they're in the description of at least the last 5 videos that I have out there. So you can feel free to use them and, vet them on your own as far as that's concerned. I'm not trying to be, standoffish or anything here. But when you get pinged at least 15 to 20 times a day about this, and I have made, and I broadcast this out here, and I'm just trying to let everybody know, okay, this has been broadcast out there where I bought both the Mavic 4 Pro and the Mini 5 Pro from the 2 sellers from South Korea. All right. You need to vet them on your own, number 1. And number 2, they are in the descriptions of the videos. I've also posted them on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group, Facebook page, out on X, and out on Instagram. So it is out on social media. It is here. It is available for you. Please read the description. Okay. I'm sorry. Don't mean to be curt or rude or anything, but when you get pinged as many times during the day, and I also want to repeat too, guys, I'm not retired. I work close to 60 hours a week. All right. So my time during the day is for the job. All right. That's where I'm at. So
I'm going to answer the bigger question here. It doesn't really matter where Bill and I got it from. As far as I know, nobody that I know that ordered a Mavic 4 Pro from either South Korea or Japan did not get it. So I haven't known anybody that's got scammed on a Mavic 4 Pro from South Korea or Japan. So I would just try to find the one at the lowest price, but that has over 95% good feedback.
Exactly. Okay.
Like, I wouldn't buy the one I got if it wasn't the lowest price. I'd try to find one like a little bit lower than I got it at.
Yeah, and that's your prerogative, and that's what I say. It took me a lot of work to find these sellers, but things may have changed for these sellers. Okay, like I said, and one thing that you need to realize with these sellers out there, these are mom and pop places, okay? That
Yeah.
more than likely they're going out to a store and buying the drone, okay?
It could be
That
just
you're
one. It
getting.
could be one young guy running down to his local Best Buy store. He gets the order that he runs down and buys from the department store and says to you, "You're not, you're probably not buying from anything close to the company. You're maybe 2 people, 3 people at the most, or whatever." So
John, I know what you're saying right here, and on the truth about this is it is not going to affect existing drones. Okay, well, what's going to affect it is future. If these are for future drones that are going to be sold here in the United States. All right,
yeah,
I don't know.
affect existing drones as far as the existing drones won't even be for sale anymore. That's how it's
Right,
going to affect the existing
right.
drones.
Like as far after December 23rd, you won't be able to buy a Mavic 4 Pro, a Mini 5 Pro, an Air 3S. The whole kit
Not
and
all for
caboodle.
Amazon or
Right.
Beach Photo, Adorama. They'll all not be for sale on those legitimate sites. Your only option will be the eBayers.
Exactly. Okay. So I want to make sure that we're real clear about this. Okay. Guys, I'm on your side. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand that. All right. Number one.
And
Ryan
Richard
is
has a
fine
comment.
too.
Richard's eBay prices could change daily. You're right, Richard. That's exactly what I'm saying. Don't necessarily buy it from where I bought it from. Buy somebody selling it who buy it from the guy selling it the cheapest.
In other words, go out there and do homework yourself. Okay. I've given you a starting point. Okay. These two sellers may not even have any drones right now.
Yeah.
All right. So
and my early videos, like my unboxing video, my seller's listed in there too.
So go out there, do that research. Also check their recent feedback on that item and make sure that you're happy. And also, if you want to make sure that they don't charge tariffs, in both of these, the listings indicated that the seller absorbed the tariff. There won't be any charge for that. But you need to vet these sellers on your own. Okay.
And here's a rule that goes across most of this. If you're getting free shipping, you're probably paying a tariff. If you're paying shipping, like $100 shipping, it's usually they can take care of for you. So you're paying one way or the other. If you're getting free shipping, you're paying yourself. If you're paying for shipping, they're taking care of it for you. That's the general rule out there, Bill.
Exactly. So I want to make sure of something here. Okay, we're coming down to the wire here. Okay, we're almost like coming up on 60 days before this December 23rd deadline is coming up, and there's really kind of been no action on this. So you have to prepare as if this is going to happen. All right, don't have the mindset that it's not going to. It's going to happen. All right. How much? How long? It's unknown. We don't know that. Okay. So, like I said, when we prepare for a hurricane, they tell you to prepare for at least 10 days of being without help. And that means no access to water, food, that kind of stuff. Okay. And so make sure you have a 10-day supply on hand. All right. So, of course, we do have that here for our hurricane supplies. Okay. In this instance, okay, you probably definitely want to buy a couple of extra batteries. You want to rotate them, and you want to be really smart how you use your batteries, okay? Because if you want these batteries to last 2 or 3 or more years, okay, you need to rotate them in and out properly. You need to charge them to 60%. You need to cycle them in and out. For one flight, use one battery. Another flight, use another battery. That kind of thing. All right. When you do that, you're going to maximize the life of the battery. All right. So you need to be very smart about this.
Yeah. And Bill, I don't live in a hot climate like you do in the summer, but on my DJI drones, I've never had a battery go bad in the 2 or 3 year time span. But I mean, I know some people have spalling batteries in the heat or whatever, but I've never had an issue with DJI drone battery in the first 3 years of ownership.
And Casey Crime Fighter, yeah, absolutely, I agree. Rotate your drone. Use your Mavic 4 Pro one day, use your Air 3S another day, use your Mini 4 Pro another day. Yeah. Rotate them. Move them in and out. All right. And the other thing is, like I said, as far as and I can't emphasize this enough. Okay, there's no care refresh for us here in the United States. So you're left with alternatives of the AllState protection plan that's available through eBay on a lot of the purchases, or like myself, I've already been in touch with my State Farm agent. It's been submitted to underwriting, and I'm waiting to hear back on approval as far as that's concerned. All right.
Of course, by what you've been saying now, Bill, even if you do get fully refunded for a drone to crash in an accident, you'll have no way to replace it unless you order from eBay.
Right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And of course, there we did hear that one thing. The Camerized DJI store in New York City said they'll repair drones. Now I don't know which drones, whether it's current drones, older drones, but they will repair drones.
okay, John,
you have to ship it to them, of course. In your own box. It's not covered. It's not a covered warranty repair. You send it in them. They give you an estimate of what it costs. You can make a decision whether you're going to get it repaired or not from them. So it's not the best option, but it is an option, Bill.
Exactly here. And John, I want to answer your question. Can they stop updates going forward? No, they really can't, because these updates go around the world. All right. As far as firmware updates are concerned.
Can I help? Can I help with this question?
Go for it, Ron.
What you could do, John, is like, I wanted to get the what do you call the when you shoot in D-Log and you need the correction LUT. I need the DJI correction LUT for the Mavic 4. Well, guess what? The Mavic 4 is not sold in the US. So you go to DJI's website, the correction LUT is not there, Bill, for the Mavic 4. But guess what? You just go down the bottom right-hand corner and switch it from US to any other country. And guess what? There's the Mavic 4 software there. So it's easy. Just said right on the website. Just click to another language, bottom right-hand corner, and you'll see all the stuff you need. Even if you want to do the updates, from what's the application that you do?
It's the DJI Assistant 2 for consumer drones.
Yeah, yes.
And that's how you do your would do your updates. Yeah. So as far as that's concerned. Mark.
And Bill, that's really going to only affect drones going forward that we can't get anyways. Like the drones we have now, the updates should still be good. But if a drone like, say, the Air 4, which isn't even here yet, comes out next year, that's the one where you're going to have trouble getting updates for, but you can't get the drone anyways. So you don't really need the updates.
Won't be able to get the drone anyway. Yeah. So that's going to kind of be a moot point. So the whole idea here is to be ready for this, okay, and to not have blinders on, because I know there's so much that has gone out there as far as videos are concerned, and so many people are telling you things as far as that. We're trying to shoot you the truth here, guys. All right, we're not candy coating this. We're not sugarcoating it. The most important thing here is this, okay? Understand something, okay? If you have a drone right now, all right, and you have batteries, all right, you're still going to be able to fly it come December 23rd. You'll still be able to fly it come March 23rd, all right? That's not going to change. What's going to change is your ability to buy, say, a DJI Air 4S. All right.
What you're saying, Bill, don't be that guy scrambling around in the morning the 23rd trying to get your DJI drone purchased.
Yeah. If you want to do that, the time to act is now. And I also, too, don't be so much concerned about propellers, although that would be a good thing to get. Batteries are definitely a key commodity to get if you want to get the OEM batteries. And that's something I highly recommend, because aftermarket batteries have been very troublesome. I know a lot of people that have had bad experiences with them. So that's
look at Good Times, and he's right about this. Ordered via your link on Saturday afternoon, and FedEx had it in Anchorage, Alaska on Monday to set the ride tomorrow. It's funny, Bill, when those packages get to Anchorage, they get to us within almost no time from Anchorage.
Oh, yeah. And that's where, and you'll see when it's FedEx, it has listed on there. UPS, it doesn't, but on FedEx, it'll tell you when it clears customs, and it's almost right away. It's almost instantaneously that it clears customs.
I like that customs guy up in Alaska.
Yeah. I mean, it's just boom. And
I hope they don't lay that man off.
Yeah. As far as that's concerned, yeah. And you know what? And this is something I'm encouraging people to do. And, for me, go out there and take a look at some of these things and reevaluate everything, as far as your drone fleet is concerned. You'll still be able to buy things like on Amazon, like accessories, like prop holders, you know, whatever. As far as
If
that's
you got if you
concerned.
got an older drone, like you need props, the older drones, there's probably a whole bunch of those props already in the U.S. for older drones. It's probably the ones you're going to have trouble finding props for is the most recent drones, like the Mini 5 and Mavic 4 Pro. But an older drone, they probably have warehouses full of props for some of the older drones.
John, I would go ahead and open that now and get it fired up. That would just be for me. That way you can make sure you have firmware updates. It's all update and it's good to go.
Yeah, and probably whoever bought that thing for you for Christmas won't be able to return it at that point. So
it's probably not.
Probably if you bought it from eBay, the return window is probably like a week or something like that, or something. You better make sure that thing's fires up and is in good shape.
Absolutely.
And then carefully put it back in the box and wrap it up.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, if this is a gift for somebody else, just fire it up, make sure it works. You do the firmware updates, everything, and then box it up and put it under the tree.
Put a bow on it.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing to do. That's what I would do.
And John said he bought on eBay, so yeah. I mean, more often than not, that thing's going to be fine. But I wouldn't let it sit for 2 months and then try to call the eBay, say, hey, this drone doesn't work. They don't have to, their return. I know their return policy doesn't go that long, so you're going to be in a bad situation. Hey, I think Wade points are right. If the Jets win the Super Bowl, we have a shot with the DJI drones, right?
Absolutely. I love that. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, this is kind of like, I called this as far as a reality check for tonight, and it really is. And I want to make sure, like I said, and I hate to really beat this like a drum here, but I want you guys to be prepared for this. I want you to be ready. I don't want you to get caught blindsided by any of this. You need to take this to heart, and that this is going to happen. And this is how we're going to be doing things from now on, as far as drones are concerned. All right. We're still going to be able, I firmly believe we'll still be able to get firmware updates. I don't think that's going to be any problem whatsoever. Going forward, they can't shut that off. All right, so that's not going to happen. It's just going to be going forward. We won't be able to buy an Air 4. We won't be able to buy a Mavic 5 Pro. Okay.
Until Bill, on that topic here, I'm going to make this short because I need time to wrap up. And this is going back to Russ's video a little bit. I mean, I haven't really been too interested in the SkyRovers and the Kuhias because they're just cloning drones I already have, right? But
right,
where I would be interested in the SkyRover thing, if somehow in 2026. If they were able to send like you said, an Air 4 or a Mini 6 Pro or something, I would be interested if they clone a drone I do not already have and somehow get FCC approval for it. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if they could make that happen or whatever, that's when I would be interested in, when they would be cloning a drone I don't already have.
Exactly. That's a really, really good point, Ron. Really good point.
And whether somehow they could sneak some of those through. I mean, well, first of all, they can't sneak them through because we got to get FCC approval so we can fly them.
Right.
That's right off the bat. It doesn't matter if they come in eBay. If they're not FCC approved, you're just getting a paperweight.
Exactly. And to kind of wrap things up here, I want to make sure I like Russ. I think Russ does a great job on his channel. Okay. He's a great drone reviewer. He's got great videos out there. But I'm going to part ways with him on this video, okay? I just think that, this is going to happen. This is a reality check. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying here, okay? And, getting you guys prepared for this and, is what we want to do. We want to educate you so you're knowledgeable about this. And I kind of try to do the same thing on my ham radio channel too when things are coming up like this, is to educate people and to let them know about things. For example, with ham radio, there's a bill before Congress right now that's going to allow us to put antennas if we live in an HOA on our property. And the reason for that is for emergency communications, okay? And this has bipartisan support, which is unique for something like this, because there's a lot of members of Congress that are ham radio enthusiasts. So wish we could get some drone enthusiasts in Congress.
Again, I know trying to add, but this is a short piece. So the case DJI just lost recently, where they had it, they lost a case where they were trying to say they weren't a a Chinese military corporation, right? It was just a couple weeks ago, right? Well, DJI's already appealed that. They already
I saw that today.
Appeal on that, so that could slow the process down, because most things can't happen if something's under appeal.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That could maybe possibly slow the works down. But watch, somehow, even though these appeals sometimes could take years, somehow this one will get sped up. It'll be decided before the 23rd.
I think so too.
It'll be the fastest court case in history, or whatever, fastest appeal settlement in history. But I like DJI's strategy. Keep throwing lawsuits at them or whatever. Keep fighting them in court.
Yep.
And if you're a taxpayer, which we all are, and you have no interest in drones, your taxes are going up because the government's fighting nonstop these lawsuits, right? We're supposedly down the budget, and now we're throwing how many millions away fighting these lawsuits that that even the judge in that last trial admitted that the evidence wasn't bulletproof. That
most of what he said in that 49, 50-page summary was in favor of DJI, which was that's what I read in an article today. So,
but it's kind of a stacked deck, because they have a history of just just going along with whatever the Defense Department says.
Oh yeah. So, all right, we've reached a portion of the show where it's Football Nation now. So, the first thing that I want to say is this, Ron. Okay, all right. This blew me away today, and I saw a video clip, and this video clip actually blew me away too. The Cleveland Browns, the 1-5 Cleveland Browns, traded Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals, okay, who desperately need a quarterback, all right? Mike Tomlin, in a press conference today, said it boggles his mind why the Browns would trade Flacco to the Bengals, because they needed him, and why that they cut him in the first place, okay? He was their starting quarterback, okay? And the guy that started on Sunday, I've never heard of him before.
Dylan Gabriel, he was like, I don't know, third or fourth round draft pick, picked a couple rounds ahead of Deion Sanders' son. And Bill, you always talk about the deer in the headlights look from some of these coaches and still, well, that Dylan Gabriel, he had the deer in the headlights look on his face on Sunday most of the game.
Well, and I got to say this, everybody's like this. Oh, look at us. We're top of the division here. Okay. Well, let me bring out. You
beat a rookie quarterback in his second start.
Okay. Yeah. Rookie quarterback, a 1-4 team. Okay. Who is just poor all the way around. Okay.
Who's been the worst team since they came into the league in 2000?
Yeah. Since they came back in the league in 2000. All right. You had the Bengals, who lost their starting quarterback probably for the year, okay? Yeah. And they have a horrible defense. And you have Baltimore Ravens, who are falling apart at the seams right now.
And no Lamar Jackson is also not playing. Yeah.
Yeah, no Lamar Jackson will for a while. I mean, it's like everybody's, oh yeah, we're gonna
you're gonna win a division who doesn't have any starting quarterbacks except for Rodgers.
And you know what? More than likely, you will end up probably playing the Chiefs, okay, or the Bills. And I know the Bills had a tough time this past weekend here, but let's face it, okay, those kind of scenarios never ever.
The Bills and Chiefs aren't worrying about winning now; they're worried about winning in December and January.
Exactly, Ron. Exactly. Okay. And all these Steeler fans are all, everything. It's always good to win. That's never a question. Okay, but. You know what? If they were really that good of a team, and I saw one of the Steeler writers said this, okay, if they were really that good, it should have been 46 to whatever 9. Okay, they should have trounced them. There should have been no question asked as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I've read an article talk about the Cleveland quarterback saying that they don't even know why they started him over Sanders, and they could see right away that he's just a game manager. This Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
He's not really capable of making any big plays out there. He's mostly just dinking and dunking the ball, to short throws, screen passes,
Well, I watched an interesting clip today from Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, I watched. He has a podcast. All right, and you know what he said? He said, you know what? He said the Steelers are in trouble. And he says, you know why they're in trouble? Okay, all right. You know, he said Aaron is good, but he said the problem is, all right. You know, he'll go back in the pocket. You know, number one, he's not mobile. Everybody knows that. Okay, I mean that's you know that's well known. The problem is, okay, the linemen aren't protected. He's not given enough time. So he has to do a lot of these dink and dunk throws kind of thing. Okay. These 5-10 yard kind of things or 15-yard kind of things. All right. That doesn't really get an offense.
They worked great against the Cleveland Browns of the league.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pitiful. It was just, you know, it was so bad at times because you know how I end up watching most of the games? I tune on NFL Red Zone. I get that on DirecTV.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm able to see everything that's going on at the same time.
Yeah.
They spent most of the time not doing that game because it was so boring. Okay. And then the other thing was, okay, the Steelers just replaced all the turf at Acrisure, I still call at Heinz Field. Okay. They replaced it all. Boswell on a field goal attempt slipped and fell. All right. It was, yeah, you know, I'm sorry. You know, let's spend some money. Let's take care of it. Well, the University of Pittsburgh plays there too. All right. And I think that's a horrible mistake because, you know, they chew the field up on Saturday and then Sunday, it's like, it's normal turf. It's not a hybrid turf or anything like that. It's normal turf. So by the time Sunday rolls around, it looks like crap.
Yeah, so you not only have the players Saturday, but you have the mascots, the band, you have everybody tearing that turf up.
Everybody's on there and it rips it to shreds and it's just like a piece of trash.
So that can cause an injury to a key player.
Oh yeah, like there's a video clip of Boswell falling after a field goal attempt. I'm like, because
and if they lost Boswell, he's probably one of the leading scorers over there.
Yep. You know who my team is this year, Ron? Who I think is going to win the Super Bowl? People are laughing. We're laughing at me when I said it at the beginning of the year, but I'm sticking with it. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay,
Buccaneers who got a winning with all their receivers injured at one point.
Yeah.
But how about the quarterback? Baker is playing better than he ever has.
The Browns said, sayonara, see you later, hasta la vista, okay?
Carolina, you know, they told him to come in. They told him to ask for a trade because if he didn't ask for a trade, they'd cut him. And, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it just shows you, you know, you know, these bad teams, it's not your number one quarterback's fault that you're bad or whatever. You're bad because you're bad. You were bad before they got there. You were bad after they left or whatever. You know, you get these guys in the right system with some players around them, and they're what you thought they were. You know,
exactly.
Speaking of people that picked up the Cowboys, who'd the Cowboys lose to this weekend? Doesn't matter. Anyhow, your ex-Steeler Pickens, is it George Pickens?
Yeah, Pickens. Yeah.
He got traded to the Cowboys off season, and their top receiver Lamb's out hurt now. Pickens had his best game of his career, Bill. He had like over 169 catches, 160 yards, and maybe 2 touchdowns. He had his like career game on Sunday for the Cowboys. So there's another one. Maybe the Steelers, you know, maybe some of it was their fault that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. He seems to be doing. You know, he's with CeeDee Lamb out the Pro Bowl, he seemed to have stepped up and taken his place.
Yep. Well, the thing is, okay, it was all Tomlin, and it was a discipline kind of a thing with Pickens. Right. All right, his head wasn't screwed on straight. And let me tell you this: if Bill Cowher had been there, his head would have been screwed on straight. He'd have.
Well, now it seems like Lamb mentors him. You know, Lamb's on his case if something goes wrong. You know, even if Lamb's not playing, he still kind of coaches from the sideline, makes sure he keeps his head in the game or whatever. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, the other thing is,
the Steelers didn't have a veteran wide receiver like that to do that for him in Pittsburgh. They didn't have anybody that could take him aside and mentor him a little bit.
Well, you know, the head coach is supposed to do some of that as well. You got to laugh, okay? You know, this is why they've had the collapse that they've had, is that they haven't had a good head coach who's a leader, okay? And, you know, when Le'Veon Bell went, all right, that was a fiasco. They should have signed him. He was a gem, and then it was a bust. And then the whole thing
Well,
with
remember,
Antonio
not only
Brown.
was it busted in New York, but remember he blew a knee out or something. He was never the same again. He lost a
Yep.
step. Yeah.
Yep. And then
He was probably busted in Europe because they didn't block for him, but he got injured was the important thing.
yeah, and then AB. But I mean, I think AB
Yeah.
really, I think he got
your
hurt.
theory on that's right. Something happened to him after he got
Yeah, that game against Cincinnati, that playoff game when he got hit, Burfict hit him. Yeah, that was just.
Yeah.
I think he had a traumatic head injury. That's what I think is going on with that.
Yeah,
But the real question,
I was watching some game recently, Bill, where they said, like, I think they said the last 5 years, the Jets are the worst team in the last 5 years, right, Bill? Well, guess who the second worst team in the last 5 years is? You don't have to look too far. The New York Giants. The Jets and Giants are two worst teams, in the league in the last 5 years. And, of course, the Steelers always seem to chalk up a win against the Jets every year, right? Or somehow.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like a foregone conclusion as far as that's concerned.
It's like they're like a college team, like Pitt. Remember, I don't know, you probably know better. Pitt probably always has some small school they always schedule a game against every year to get a win. It's almost like somebody in Pittsburgh. Let's get the Jets on the schedule every year because
that's kind of like what I said. How Ohio State schedules their football schedule for like the first 2 or 3 games. They bring in schools that they're going to walk all over.
Tune-ups.
Yeah, it's a tune-up for the real Big Ten showdowns. Okay,
and that's why you were impressed with the Steelers in Week 1, even though they beat the Jets. It took the last second 60-yard field goal to beat the worst team in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, my question right now for you is this: what's going on with the Eagles? Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been hiding it early from the very first game. They can't seem to generate much offense. Barkley went from having a 2,000-yard season. He's having a real. So not running the ball with Barkley. They're not really throwing the ball consistently downfield. So I mean, it looks like the defense, because they gave up last week. They couldn't stop whoever was running the ball on them. But I mean, the offense is something's wrong with the offense, and I don't know what it is. Well, number one,
they're not
Barkley can't get the running game going. I don't know if that's a line or whether it's Barkley. So and they can't seem to make up for it with the passing game consistently. They have a couple games where they pass well, but they're not doing that well. So they got to figure out that offense because no matter how good your defense is, the defense still needs the offense to, the drive the ball, keep the ball away from the team's offense, whatever how it is. I mean, they got plenty of time to get it fixed. Again, you don't win any Super Bowls in October. You got time to get it fixed by the end of the year. The talent's there. They don't really have any super big injuries, but they need to get that fixed, Bill.
Yeah, and they will. And you're right. A lot of people panic at this point saying, oh no. But you realize something, the Super Bowl is not won in October. All right. And, conversely, the NHL season is underway as far as that's concerned. And, as I remind people, Stanley Cup isn't won in October either. All right. And what I really like, one of the head coaches I really like in all of sports is Paul Maurice. He's the head coach of the Florida Panthers. And he says a regular season, he says, you need to treat it like a marathon and not a sprint. Okay. Because so many people will want to go out there and just go, to the wall and just doing everything they can. And they get themselves burned out by the time, they'll make the playoffs, but they'll be burned out by the time playoffs are there. And then they get walked on. Okay.
Right.
And that's not the attitude that he takes. You need to take an even keel attitude throughout the season. You're going to have ebbs and flows. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have players out. It's how you deal with all that and deal with that adversity, through the regular season that'll prepare you for the playoffs.
Yeah, you play all those games. It's a matter, number one, staying healthy or whatever, but more importantly, being healthy come playoff time.
Exactly. And, that's the thing. The Panthers are facing a real challenge this year because one of their star players, Matthew Tkachuk, he had a torn abducator. All right. And he suffered that in the Four Nations tournament. He did play last year for the playoffs and they won, but he had surgery and recovery from that is at least 5 months. So the earliest he'll be back is probably end of December, January. But their star center, Alexander Barkov, who they really depend upon, I watched it. It was in training camp, you know, his knee gave out on him, and boom, it was an MCL and ACL surgery, and he's out 6 to 7 months. But you know, and that's where the rest of the team steps up. And so far, so good. They're playing well as far as that's concerned. So, you know, that's the kind of attitude I like to see, and I really like it. And hopefully, my fingers are crossed as far as that's concerned. So.
And Bill, what about these baseball playoffs? We got the Dodgers and the Brewers. I believe they're playing tonight. Dodgers are up 1-0, and I believe Seattle's up 2 games on the Toronto Blue Jays in the AL.
Yes, I saw that. And Seattle's never been to the World Series. Okay, that's amazing. All right, so
even
there's
when
a
they
real
had Griffey and A-Rod and all those, they never made it.
They never made it. I really think this will be their year. I think they're going to finally get there. If they, you know, I think my ideal would be them against the Dodgers, and I'd like to see Seattle win against the Dodgers. So
I mean, you know, the Brewers were kind of at least in National League, they were the best team all year in the National League, and I like them because they don't have a bunch of big stars with Brewers. They play a lot of small ball. A lot of guys just getting a lot of hits and whatever, making plays. So I kind of been, you know, the Phillies are going, but I've kind of like respected what the Brewers did all year. Went to the best team in the National League without the big names, without the big payroll.
Exactly.
Just playing baseball the way it should be. Now, you know, I don't know whether they keep that going against the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are probably the most star-studded team in the league, starting with Ohtani. But
that's going to be a tall mountain to climb, beating the Dodgers.
Ohtani's healthy. Ohtani's arm's healthy, so he's pitching this year in the postseason.
Yep.
But last year he wasn't. He pitched against the Phillies in, I think it was game 1, and he did well. He gave up 3 runs like in the second inning, but it was that outfielder. He didn't hustle on that triple, whatever. He didn't get air on it, but he shouldn't let that go. It should have been 3 runs. But anyhow, they wound up winning the game. But Ohtani's been cold at the plate, real cold at the plate in the playoffs,
and that's not good for them.
Because he's going to
be healthy.
Other team, though, he may bust out some. If he busts out, he could bust out in a big way, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. So, any final thoughts here before we wrap things up, Ron?
No, just, you know, we've heard rumors that maybe November we'll see the DJI Neo 2, the Osmo Mobile 7, and whatever number it is for the handheld gimbal, and the other one, the Mic 3 Pro. Remember, we got the Mic 3 a couple months ago, but the big complaint was it didn't have the lavalier port, the sound port to stick a lavalier mic in. And almost all professionals say that they can't use a mic that doesn't have a lavalier port in it. So if those 3 products do come, I don't know if they have FCC approval or not. I think the Neo 2 does. I don't know about the other ones, but that'll be something to keep an eye on for November time frame, Bill. And the one drone rumor said the Action 6 will be out the 28th of this month, I believe, Bill.
That's what I heard too. I haven't seen anything updated on that.
Yeah, I mean, we see pictures don't look like much, and we don't see any specs or details. So that kind of throws me off that we don't know any specs or details at this.
Yeah, Jasper hasn't posted anything, and neither has Igor. So, you know, we're waiting to find out about that. Yeah. So, you know, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. As always, guys, it's a great day to fly. Have a great rest of your week.